With Prater interrupting Dexter and Harrison's meal, we begin where we left off. Prater, who still thinks Dexter is Red Schmidt, is shocked to hear that he has a son, which naturally gives him more power than Dexter is used to. Harrison is extremely impressed that his father is on first-name terms with Prater, but Dexter recognizes that a dangerous line has been crossed even though the first name isn't exactly correct in his instance. Prater's offer to spend some time with Red to find out more about his background and personal life feels more like a threat than an invitation to go on a date because he now knows too much about the real him and Charlie's suspicions are obviously growing. Angel Batista, who follows Dexter and Harrison as they quickly exit the restaurant through the kitchen, is another example of growing suspicions. When he sees the tale, Dexter gives Batista the slip after giving Harrison a wonderfully candid explanation of the Prater scenario, considering that they are strolling through the streets of New York and anyone could hear them. However, the implication is obvious. The net is getting tighter. As soon as Harrison arrives at work and receives a room service request by name from a room that turns out to be occupied by Charlie, who wants to screen him, just like she does with anyone invited to Leon Prater's house, this becomes even more clear. Harrison's last name, Morgan, particularly interests her, and since he wasn't prepared for the questioning, most of what he offers her as an explanation is accurate. He then shares this with Dexter, who demands that he stay with him for a few days until he can resolve everything, and Dexter Morgan usually resolves everything in one way, which is on a murder table. This involves Dexter approaching his target as usual, so he has Harrison search through hotel records to locate Charlie's home address. There he finds pictures of her military service, the hotel glass she dusted for Harrison's fingerprints, and her dying mother, who is receiving care in an upstairs room. In order to scare her away from Harrison by threatening her mother, Dexter uses this information to hide in Charlie's car and wraps his giggly saw around her neck. However, Charlie discloses that her visit to Harrison was specifically ordered by Prater, which should have been clear from the outset. Prater puts Charlie on a tight leash by covering her mother's medical expenses and ensuring her survival. However, that means that he, not Charlie, should die. However, it will be considerably more difficult to reach him. Because he observed and photographed Prater and Dexter leaving the restaurant, Batista is also interested in Prater. He sees Prater in a gala photo where Claudette calls him into the office to tell him about her talk with Quinn and to insist that he give up his badge and leave New York right now to avoid being arrested for posing as a police officer. It's hilarious that he has to confirm that he is the same person in his own photo. After all, he has a quite unique appearance. How much cross-checking is necessary for him? When it comes to Prater, he is quite terrifying in Dexter, Resurrection Episode 9, which is a relatively fresh role for him. Although he has always been a touch strange and out of balance, his nearly sexual response to Charlie's neck injury and his automatic exploitation of her mother's health as a form of blackmail give him a new, darker appearance, as does Charlie's evident uneasiness and fear around him. He may finally be getting his retribution, which is a great comfort when Dexter contacts him the following morning to set up that private conversation. Even a part of you wishes Charlie would agree to participate. Naturally, though, Batista obstructs the process. Once more, he locates Prater after seeing his photo and attempts to alert him that his life is at jeopardy, blatantly misjudging the circumstances. However, he eventually gets to see Prater and Charlie after beating up 3 of his goons who become a bit too handsy, and he reveals to them who Red Schmidt is, revealing his true identity. Unaware, Dexter shows up for his scheduled encounter with Prater only to be ambushed after being led inside the eerie serial killer's vault. On a kill table, Batista lies. Prater also has a suggestion. Now that he is aware of Dexter's identity, he is prepared to help him by luring serial killers to him so that Dexter can increase his collection. But Batista's death is the cost of admission. Naturally, Batista does not fit the code, even if he is Dexter's greatest threat. So in a moment of amazing pitch-black comedy, Dexter makes a daring choice that instantly backfires. Batista is set free by Dexter's Meg Slash with the intention of reestablishing their previous alliance and defeating Prater and Charlie together. Rather, Batista begins killing him by strangulation. Only until Prater shoots him multiple times in the back does he stop. Charlie takes Dexter outdoors when he misses the next one that is targeted at him. Dexter is still imprisoned inside with a dying Batista, telling him that despite being the Bay Harbor butcher, he did not murder Batista's wife or James Dokes. However, it has no bearing. In any case, Batista holds him accountable for his own death. After so many seasons, Angel Batista finally dies and his last remarks are appropriate.